10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I'm speaking to somebody that has pioneered the alt-country scene in Australia for the last 10 years. Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds have been working with some amazing people, including Joan Armour Trading, of all people. They've just brought out 2 new singles within this pandemic year. So today, Dax Chats to Lachlan Bryan from Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds. Here he is now. G'day, buddy.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I tell you what, 10 years is a long time to be to be doing this this type of thing, isn't it?
I guess so. I mean, I'm starting to feel like I know what I'm doing now. Most of my heroes have been, people that have been 40 or 50 years older than me most of my life. So I'm starting to feel like I've got enough years behind me to do this properly.
Yeah, so take us through your journey, because obviously this goes out to pages all over the world. So tell us how Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds came about and the journey up until this point. It's 10 years of talking.
Well, yeah. I mean, we started as a little bit before that 10 years. I started playing in bands with my friends here in Melbourne, kind of indie rock bands, I guess. And the country influence kind of gradually came in. We found that a lot of the bands we were listening to out of America had a country influence. We weren't really listening to country music, but we were listening to bands like The National and I guess going back further, Wilco and those kind of bands. And our producer, who was American, when we eventually formed the band The Wilds, our producer, who was American but had been living in Australia for a couple of years, he said, they have this big country music festival up in Sydney. He called it Sydney, but he meant Tamworth. You guys should go up there. This is country music you're making. He said, I'm from Arkansas and I think this is country music. So I'm sure that the Aussies will as well. So we went up to Tamworth in 2009. That was our first time. And we had the time of our lives. We did what every band does when they go to Tamworth the first time. Played 15 or 16 shows for 3 hours each, and sang till we couldn't sing anymore, drank till we couldn't stand up anymore, and camped. We camped in the campground there, which was kind of crazy, and then we went back the next year and we played a lot less, but we kind of made it count a bit more, and we kept going back, and then this. Because we had friends and fans, I guess, in the city as well, we sort of started to develop this kind of country and city following, and that affected our sound. The first record came out, and the critics liked it, but no one really bought it. And then but we were enthusiastic enough to keep making music, and we put out our second record, which was called Black Coffee, and won us a few awards, a golden guitar and a Music Victoria award and a few things like that, and a few people actually did buy that one, and that opened some doors for us. We started traveling, started touring, and ever since, either on my own or with the band, I've pretty much been on the road.
So you've travelled across the world, and you've toured with Steve Earle, John Hyatt, Joan Armour Trading, Sean Colvin, just to name a few. I mean, you've had a awesome career, and you've actually toured with some amazing people.
Yeah, I've gotten to tour with like some of my heroes, which has been really cool. And
Mm,
yeah, I'm very thankful for that. You know, I feel like it's a pretty rewarding life. It's really different at the moment because you know,
mm,
by this time of year, I've normally been to Europe and back, or been to America and back, and I
mm,
knew I appreciated it, and I knew I was thankful for that life already. But having it taken away
mm,
this year has made me realize even more how lucky um, how
mm.
lucky I am to live this life, and I look forward to getting back to it.
Well, you've just hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is one of the this is the year where you look back over things that you've done and gone, I am so thankful for what I've got. You know,
So yeah,
it has been a very strange one, and during this pandemic, you've released not one but two singles. The first single was "You Remind Me of Myself." Tell me about that track.
well, we we recorded our whole album just before the virus hit, which was
Mm,
actually incredibly good timing. You know, like because
mm,
it meant that we could be mixing it while we're in lockdown and all that kind of stuff. So we were lucky
mm,
there, and You Remind Me of Myself was one of the last songs that was written for it. Uh,
mm,
I was sitting up late at night. I had an old nylon string acoustic guitar that I'd found in the storage unit, and
mhm,
I sat down and I had that little riff that kind of goes, and I just had that. It was kind of
mhm,
like a Buddy Holly riff or something like that, really,
mhm,
I was playing around, and then the song kind of came, and I kind of had a person in mind that I was writing about,
mm,
a rock star friend who's kind of aging disgracefully, and I
mhm.
had him in mind when I was writing the song, and then, as always happens when you start writing a song about someone, it becomes about someone else, and then about someone else, and then it ends up being more about
Yeah.
yourself than anything else. So
Mm,
ironically, it's titled "You Remind Me of Myself," and yeah, and the song, I guess, was different to anything we'd done before. You know, it's a bit more up tempo. Um,
mm.
it's got a drum machine in it, which is something we never thought we would have in a country song. And you know, people seem to like it, so it was nice to get it. It was also our first vinyl outing. We put it out as a vinyl single, which was
That
kind of awesome
that
too.
that that was my next question. That was my next comment about the song was that you actually
Yeah,
put it out on a 7-inch vinyl, a 45. I haven't seen a 45 since I can't remember when.
yeah. Well, we 45s myself. I've bought a few from a secondhand record store in London sometimes when we've been over there, but
Mm,
I don't have many. But yeah, we just felt like this song would sound good on vinyl, and
mhm,
there's believe it or not, a vinyl mastering lathe in the town that I live in. This little small town of 10,000 people in south of Melbourne, and there's a guy with a vinyl cutting lathe, lives about 5 minutes away, and he was keen to do it. It's an
wow.
old lathe that was owned by Festival Records years ago, and he's a great mastering
Yeah,
engineer, and he cut it, and we listened to it on vinyl, and we thought, oh yeah, we better put this out on vinyl. It sounds good that way. So we put it out, and we put, as a B-side, we used our single from the year before, which was called The Road. So yeah.
I was going to ask what the B side was. There you go.
Yeah, the B-side of The Road, which is kind of the first single from this album. I know we're stretching. It feels like You Remind Me of Myself was the first single, but in actual fact, we're just stretching this album out over a very long period of time.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I get that. And you really need to because there's not much we can do in this year. So we basically have to sort of ride off this year with all the
Seems that
festivals
way.
gone and all the gigs gone and everything's fallen to, as I say, the proverbials hit the fan, you know.
Sure has.
And it's and for Victoria, it's become a very dangerous thing lately. So
Yeah.
you guys are in the third lockdown in Victoria, which is not nice to be
Mm.
in.
Yeah, and by
Yeah,
far the heaviest lockdown now too. So
absolutely, absolutely. You guys are now feeling what I felt when we started in January because I'm in China. So
yeah, Yeah. Yeah, you really
So,
know
yeah.
what it's like over there.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what it was like. It was when it started here. I mean, I'm not in Wuhan, but I was in Beijing when it started, and the government there shut Beijing down really, really hard because that is the center of everything. That's where all the powerful people are and stuff like that. So it was hard. I couldn't, you couldn't leave your house to go shopping. You could only go once every 2 days or something like that. You had to be very cautious. No deliveries could come to your door. We used to have delivery drivers come to our door every day, with essentials, non-essentials, whatever. You didn't have to really go out because everybody just brings stuff to you. But that shut down, and then we had to get, they'd have a delivery spot on the street outside of our complex, and we'd have to get our masks on and just go down the street to get our essentials or whatever we'd bought to be delivered, and then to get back in, we'd have to show, because it was outside of our complex, to get back in, we'd have to show the app to say that we were clean. It had to have the green tick on it, and we had to actually prove that we lived in this address as well. So they wouldn't let cars in, they wouldn't let anything in. So
that's an even tougher lockdown than what we
is coming back, because as you know, this virus mutates, and it mutates quickly, and it changes on a daily basis. So what somebody had in the first lockdown of Victoria might not be what they have now. It's completely changed, and that's what's happening in China now. It's very small numbers, but the numbers that are coming back into China now are a different mutation to what it was at the beginning. So yeah. It is scary but I mean, that's the same with, I guess that's the same with the influenza, the influenza virus, the common cold, every year it changes. And so people get this flu vaccine, and that flu vaccine changes every year to try and combat.
Yeah, I can see a future where we're all getting a COVID vaccine every year.
Yeah, that's probably where we're going to head. Or we hope that it disappears. But I mean, coronaviruses are in every animal. It's just this one has been quite dangerous. But yeah, your family dog, if you have a dog, it's got coronavirus. If you have a cat, it's got coronavirus. It's just part of an animal's genetics. Apparently this one came from a bat. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy.
So yeah. Now let's get away from that. I don't like that topic. I mean, it's been the topic of discussion most of our interviews. It is the reality. It is what I call the new normal. Now, before you release the new single, what have you guys done? And I'm talking about you by yourself or with the band Decaf and Sean, is it?
That's right.
Yeah. Because I've only met you like for the first time during Celebrity Country Music Wiz, and I was just I met you all at once. That's right. And I was just a player. I couldn't believe I was ahead of you for a while. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think you're still ahead of the other boys.
I ended up pretty bad because my internet failed towards the end of it. So I actually ended up in 16th place. So I dropped right down. But I couldn't believe that I knew some of those interesting questions, like the origins of alt country and where it came from, what the influences were. I was like, that was a good one.
So you did well to get that right. Yeah.
I think that's where I jumped ahead of you, because I went straight to punk rock. I went, that's it. It's punk rock. It's not these, rockabilly. It's not rock and roll. It's punk rock. And so I think that's where I jumped ahead of you with that question. Which is amazing, because you've been in all country for 10 years and I've been in radio for 4. It's all just music. Exactly right. But during this pandemic, what have you been able to do, you and the band, been able to do to keep connected to your audience?
Well, I've been running a live stream every Monday night called the Drunken Piano Bar, and the initial idea was that I would have a bottle of wine and play a whole lot of requests on the piano, but it kind of morphed into more of a talk show. And I'm having a break at the minute, but I've got a second season of that starting up in a couple of weeks. We have a sponsor on board now, and I'm interviewing, much like what you're doing here. I'm interviewing artists from all over the world, playing a bunch of songs. I just sit at the piano downstairs here, and the guys from the band, we beam them in, and they contribute a segment. Last time around, Sean showed us all the things that he was doing on his own in lockdown, which included playing Twister against himself and all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And Damien was the guest barman every week, and he made a cocktail for everybody at home. So we built up quite a following with that. So we're going to run that again in a couple of weeks. So that's one way that we connect with the audience. And I guess the other thing that we're doing is really just getting ready to take the show on the road. You know, we've got a whole bunch of new songs that we're only learning ourselves. You know, we record them in the studio, but then you have to learn them to play them, and you got to do all the planning and everything. And we're starting to book tours, whether we go ahead or not, but you got to book them in case you can. So we're starting to on board with all that stuff. And you know, there's always work to do. There's always things to do in the studio.
True, for sure. I mean, I think if I tried to play the single I released in 2019, I would have no idea. So where were we? Obviously, yes, you were doing the piano show on Mondays. You've kept connected. You're booking tours, hoping for the best, hoping that it all fades away and you can start touring again. And just recently you released a brand new track from the album called I Went Down. Now, there was an interesting thing said on Kicks last night, actually. On their live stream, it said that you guys are so good, you've just bought out the album cover with the name of the track, and that's it.
You just froze again for a second there, Dax.
I just froze for a second.
Right.
So you bought out the album, and it's just got the name, the single, and it's just got the name of the track. It doesn't have Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds. It just has the name of the track.
Yeah. That, you know what? It's funny that was actually something we debated within the band a bit, as whether we would go for the risk and do that. But I think with the current artwork that we've got, it's a part of a theme, and people are starting to recognise that. So we thought, you know, enough people will work out who we are, and if they don't, hopefully they'll listen to the song and like it and try and work it out from there.
Correct. All right. So tell me about the new single, I Went Down. It was written by Damien. So
it was brought to the table by Damien. Like the way we write in the band, I write most of the songs, but I'm always open to ideas from Sean and Damien, and both of them have contributed songs to the new record. What usually happens is they come with a song that's either half or three quarters finished or one quarter finished. And then we work on it together. In Damien's case, I feel like my co-writing of this song was really more editing than co-writing. You know, like he came with the song completed and was like, "What do you think of this?" And I was like, "Oh, I love it." But you know, there was this word or that word that when we dug into it, we changed. But you know, the melody, the structure, the melody, the lyrics were 90% there, and you know, it was a song I loved from the first time he kind of demoed it for me, and you know, I thought, wow, I want to record that song, and we did, and it was great fun to record, because this album has been a bit of a science project, in that we've been just the three of us playing all the instruments. So we were in this song, you can actually, if you listen closely, you can hear a crumpled piece of paper that we're crumpling. Yeah, you picked that up. There's all sorts of like things that were just around the studio that we were banging on. There's there's a bunch of different guitars. There's Hammond organ, and we just got a chance to bang and shake a lot of stuff and make a whole lot of noise, which was great fun.
Wow, that's cool. Do you mind having a shot at doing the song now, or doing a song? It doesn't have to be that song.
Sure. I will. I probably won't play that one because that's not really.
That's not really an acoustic song. Yeah, that's right.
But I'll play the previous single if you like. You Remind Me of Myself.
Okay. This is Lachlan Bryan with the previous single, You Remind Me of Myself, right here on Dax Chats.
Well, I always thought by your age I'd have settled down. And I imagine you've played all your cards by now. But you never cease to amaze. Maybe these will be your halcyon days. Well, it's paper cuts and empty teacups in her room. I didn't think that she'd have even heard of you. Well, it's a stretch, to be sure, but I hear her knocking at your door. You remind me of myself, but so much better. You're like me, but so much better. I don't see how you could ever live this down. Well, I try not to repeat myself, but yet again I have seen the darkness in the hearts of men, but I see the light in yours and it makes me need you more. You remind me of myself, but so much better. You're like me, but so much better. I don't see how you could ever live this down. Are you bathing in the blood, or are you less human than the rest of us? Did someone tell you something we don't know? And the words that leave your tongue, are they specifically for anyone? Or do you see in me the potential to grow? Well, I always thought by your age I'd have settled down, packed away my riding boots and said my vows. But you took your foot off the brakes. I adore all of your mistakes. You remind me of myself, but so much better. You're like me, but so much better. I don't see how you could ever. Please don't ever, please don't ever. I don't see why you would ever. Please don't ever, please don't ever let me down.
There you go. All right. Awesome. There you go. It worked. Okay, so congratulations on the new single, I Went Down. It is a killer song. I really do enjoy that song. And I wish you all the best with getting past this pandemic that we're currently sitting in and getting back out and doing what you do best, man.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me. And maybe I'll see you in China someday when we can all travel.
Well, we are hoping that one day, if I stay in China, basically if the Country Thunder Network stays in China, we are hoping one day that we can run Country Thunder Network festivals here in China for.
That would be so cool. I've been to a few Chinese airports on my way to Europe, but I've never really gotten to get out of there and have a look around.
So it'll be good to have some music here from Australia. That'll be great. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a wonderful time talking to you. No worries, man.
Cheers. Thanks
Yeah,
for
have a
having
good
me.
one.
See ya.
See ya. That was Lachlan Bryan from Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds. His brand new single is called I Went Down, and it is now playing on the Country Thunder Network. So you can request it on the player on our website, or you can vote for it on the Country Thunder 20. Just go to our website, countrythunder.com.au. Also, his previous single, You Remind Me of Myself, is also playing on the Country Thunder Network. So until next time, this is DJ Dax for Dax Chats signing out. We are proudly presented by Neon Horse. Until next time, bye for now.